managing my screens here. Hello, everyone. I'm Nettie Pardue. I'm the Executive Director of Outward Bound California, and it's wonderful to have you all here today. I can't see all of your faces, but I see your names popping up on the screen. And today we are here for the virtual Rally for Resilience to learn a little bit about our ropes course and talk to, get a little sneak preview of the course and get to talk to some of my esteemed colleagues. And they'll introduce themselves in a few minutes. Principal Joe Truss from Viz Valley Middle School, and Phil Ginsburg, General Manager of San Francisco Recreation and Parks. I want to just point out that we do have closed captioning available if you need that, and you need to turn on your subtitles to get those closed captioning working. So that's available for those of you who need it. And again, I want to thank GoPro for sponsoring this virtual ropes course tour. And thanks for the team for getting out there last week and putting this together on such a short notice. So again, I'm Nettie Pardue. I'm the Executive Director of Outward Bound California. I'm thrilled to be here with you all today. And I want to take a moment to introduce my guests, Phil Ginsburg and Principal Joe Truss. Phil, can you just say a couple words about yourself, and then we'll pass it to Joe.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I am the General Manager of San Francisco's Recreation and Park Department and have responsibility for all 225 of our parks and all 4,000 acres. We are so thrilled to be partnering with Outward Bound and hopefully Viz Valley Middle School to bring nature to kids. I'm sure we'll be getting into a little bit more of that later. And relevantly, I am an Outward Bound alum.
Hey, what's up, folks? My name is Joe Truss. I'm the principal at Visitacion Valley Middle School, pretty close to where this ropes course is. And, you know, I'm a San Francisco native, a product of San Francisco Public Schools, and actually product of lots of rec centers. And it was actually, I don't know if I told you this, Phil, but one of my first jobs was being like a summer junior counselor.
Work Creation is the name of the program, Joe, that I bet you were in, because it's been around for like 60 years.
It had to be that one. So one of my first jobs. So it's all full circle.
Where were you working?
At the Tenderloin site where I grew up.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
So
Connections.
we have an Outward Bound alum and a Rec and Park alum on the call.
Yeah, connections already being forged here. So I want to just do a quick acknowledgement of the land that this ropes course is on. I know all of us are calling in from different places today, but I do want to offer a brief land acknowledgement to the Ramatish Ohlone, and where McLaren Park is, and specifically the ropes course at Menzel and Visitacion Avenue. So we acknowledge the Ramatish Ohlone. We acknowledge their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement comes with a commitment to the process of working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism and the disregard of the original peoples of this place we call San Francisco. Just a pause for a moment there and appreciate the land that this course is going to operate on and the past history of this land. And if you want to take a moment again to put in the chat box what ancestral lands you live on and connect to. If it's not San Francisco, you can chat elsewhere in the US if you consider other places than San Francisco home, but just take a minute to do that. The link is in the chat box right now. All right, so before we get into some Q&A with Phil and Joe and myself, I want to just take a minute to say why we're here today. And really, we're here today for three reasons. We're here to celebrate and preview the ropes course. This has been a long endeavor to get this done. Super grateful for Parks and Rec in partnership with Phil and all of your team to make this happen. But also super grateful for all the people who help support this ropes course. That's our donors, our supporters, our staff. I know we have DCYF on the call, who's been a great supporter of, that's Department of Children, Youth, and Families, who's been supporting this project. We have Principal Joe Truss, we have some other folks from other schools and nonprofits on the call. So thousands of hours went in to make this course possible. And it was built in a pandemic. It's incredible, folks. We need to be grateful for this. So we're here to celebrate. We're here to have some gratitude for this course, and we're here to rally. We're here to rally and get stoked for the future of what this course is going to provide for the city of San Francisco youth, especially around districts 9, 10, and 11, where this course is nested and will serve those students. It's at a gateway entrance to the park, the corner of Mansell and Biz Avenue, and we're hoping that we're going to be serving up to 2,000 kids in the next year. I mean, we got to keep our masks on and get these numbers down from the pandemic, but we really want to be able to serve youth. And we're hoping to be able to do that within the next month because our staff are being trained right now for the course. So thank you again for being here. We're here to appreciate, we're here to rally, and we're here to celebrate today. So I'm gonna begin this with just a conversation with Phil and Joe. Again, these two are very busy, have lots going on as principal and general manager of Rec and Parks. So they're taking time out of their day-to-day, but really we just wanna ask them a few questions. So we'll spend the next 20, 30 minutes talking with them, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A for you all today. So Joe, I'm gonna start with you. Viz Valley Middle School is a partner that we've had for over 10 years in California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we've served a lot of youth from Viz Valley, and we're so grateful for this partnership with you all. We're concerned about the youth. Tell us how your students are doing, what's going on for them right now. What's it like to be, I know you're not a middle schooler, but what's it like for our middle schoolers right now at Viz Valley? So just tell our folks in the call a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the reality is it's hard. I think we all know how more difficult this is now compared to in person, everything we were doing. I think you couple that with kids who are, they thrive on the social aspect of life, especially in middle school. So it's hard on them. They want to see their friends, and yes, they can be on the computer, but it is not substitute for getting to see their people. This is a very formative time in their adolescence. So on one side, they really miss seeing each other and coming to school and doing all those things. Given the fact that, we're not talking about kids in general, we're talking about kids in the southeast sector of San Francisco. They're feeling COVID more than other people are, right? Because of their demographic of being low income, being brown, many kids being new immigrants. They're feeling that too. Despite all of that, we know our kids are some of the most resilient parts of our society, and they make it work. I know that as a kid, the stuff I went through as a kid, I made it through it, and these kids are going to make it through it as well. So they're trying their best, but the honest part is they would love to be back in school. They would love to see their friends. But they're making the best they can, and the teachers are working as hard as they can to figure this out, to allow for connection primarily. And then to try to get kids learning something that's interesting to them, that's more interesting than whatever else is out there. But they're kids, so they're going to make it through it as best as they can. But we want them back in school when it's safe, of course.
Thanks for that, Joe. And Phil, I'm going to go to you next, and just what's the history of McLaren Park? What's the importance of McLaren Park in this area, and how do you see the ropes course having a role there?
Well, I mean, I'll answer that in a second, Nettie, because I want to actually sort of tag team with Joe a little bit on the impact of COVID on our kids, because I think while we all dreamed this up pre-COVID, COVID makes this ropes course all the more essential. And while San Francisco is right now maybe the healthiest place in America, or certainly in California, if we're going to be candid, COVID has had impact on a lot of people, but our kids it's been really, really, really hard on our kids. And I think our kids have gotten a bit of a difficult shake in all this. Schools have been closed, sports have been closed, sports have been shut down, playgrounds have been closed until very recently. kids need socialization, they need development, they need collaboration, they need human contact, they need caring mentors, and particularly in communities of color and the community that Joe serves and leads. This is vitally important to the recovery of San Francisco's children. And so we often say at Rec and Park that many people think about play as fun and joyful, but it's also really serious business for our youth in terms of their development. And so this couldn't come at a better time. And this ropes course, transitioning to McLaren specifically, this ropes course is sited in our second largest park in San Francisco. And over the last 7 months, parks have been absolutely essential. They've been the place. They've been they were the original spaces where we were allowed to go despite the shelter-in-place order when it was at its strictest. And adults, kids, seniors, we've all been in open space to allow us some time to focus on our physical health and our mental health. McLaren Park is a vital resource, and I'm so thrilled about Outward Bound's commitment to serving children and families in the Southeast in districts 9, 10, and 11. It's it's 300 acres, and the good news is it's undergoing a renaissance in and of itself. And now this ropes course contributes to that. A couple years ago, we opened the McLaren Bike Park. 2 weeks ago, we opened Redwood Grove, a fantastic nature playground that may not have the thrill of this ropes course, but for younger children is quite exceptional. We've added bike and pedestrian ways. We've redone tennis courts and ball fields. McLaren Park is an incredible asset. It's got 7 miles worth of trails. And so to add this element into McLaren, for those of you who are on this call that are used to spending all your time in Golden Gate Park, I got a little secret for you, although people around McLaren Park may not want me to share it. It is truly, truly one of the most precious assets we have in our system. Its views, its topography, its nature, its wildness, and its active recreation are all exceptional. And this ropes course, which is the second in our system, but unfortunately first, is over a mile away, is over 180 miles away up at Camp Mather. So this is really important.
So I'm gonna go to Joe and just say, Joe, how do you see? Are you actively seeing kids use McLaren Park, or how are you seeing the park getting used from your perspective? I know that you're not interacting with a lot of kids, but what are you noticing? What are you seeing right now?
I mean, I think kids are going to go outdoors as best they can. I mean, a lot of our kids live in our neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhood of Visitation Valley, and definitely in the Visitation Valley, Sunnydale, Portola, and definitely in the Mission as well. So kids are going to go to what's close, of course. So the kids who live near there, of course they're going. I mean, I drive by on the weekends and see sometimes it's a little more packed and people are using it. I mean, like Phil said, it was one of the places that everybody could go, that you could still be outside, and kids need to play. And for my example, when it was closed, I was taking my 3-year-old daughter to open spaces and parks and trails, right? So it is the space that the kids are going to find. I mean, I do agree. It's nice that you don't have to go across the city to get to Golden Gate Park, right? I mean, that's a big park and there's lots of parks, but John McLaren Park is huge. And it's beautiful. I mean, the recent work has been really nice. I agree. Adding this course will be huge. I know we'll talk about that in a little bit. But also, like, a lot of kids are scared too, right? I mean, parents are scared, so it's not just like free range run around the city, right? So like kids are staying home, they're not, and our kids are young, so they're not roaming the streets during a pandemic. Kids are, for the most part, kids are home.
Or should they be? And one little addendum, because I think, Joe, you've been involved in the conversation a little bit. There's some wonderful things happening in Visitation Valley right now, in and around Hertz Playground, with a new the Sunnydale housing, the Hope SF project there, and new community center that the Boys and Girls Club is going to help manage. And if you haven't voted, you have the opportunity to vote yes on Prop A on the upcoming ballot, which will provide $10 million of funding for a beautiful new recreation center at Hertz Playground that will serve the families in the Hope SF site at Sunnydale and the surrounding neighborhoods. And all of this links together. And you know, Joe's Middle School is right up the street from that. And you know, we're at a point where we can get kids completely outside and engaged and back to doing what kids do best, that you know, we've got the assets to really support them and their development.
No, I think you may have said it, Joe, about how you're seeing more kids use McLaren than you've seen before. And I believe about a year and a half ago, we were doing some preliminary work at the course, and Phil came up there, and we saw a whole bunch of young people, you know, sitting on some park benches right there, and they were wondering what was going on at the park. And I think one of the real values that the course is going to bring is it's not a playground. It's not a place where kids are just going to go and have unstructured time, which we know kids need unstructured time. But the real beauty in the course is that it's a facilitated experience that cultivates teamwork, that cultivates social awareness and leadership and character development. It's much different than just having your kids run around the playground. And, you know, it's for 12 and plus too. But really, I think when the design of where we were going to locate the course was at that corner of Viz and Mansell, and really activating an area that wasn't very activated in the past. And now, just in the space of us putting up the course and seeing the kids walk by and get curious what's going on here. And then my long-term vision is that, you know, kids are just walking by, pointing up, watching their friends up on the high ropes or low ropes, and getting intrigued and interested, and then they start telling their other folks about it. So it's super exciting that an area that I think that wasn't activated before is now going to see some activation and people coming and using this space, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll say that's one of the corridors that our kids are arrive to our school at, right? So kids take that bus, the buses that go along Mansell, and kids walk from there. So like, there's a lot of traffic, right, back and forth every day, or in the morning and the afternoon. So kids pass by that. There's also a high school, Burton High School is right there, and El Dorado Elementary. So like, there's a lot of families and a lot of kids in that area, so they'll see it naturally. And yes, kids, they were hanging out there because that's what kids do. People hang out in places, right? So whether that's structured or unstructured, whatever, like, it's a place where people have always been. It's nice to have something there that is fun and structured and challenging and all of that. But naturally, it's going to be a big part of the community. But the bigger part for our school is, I've been at the school for 6 years, and we've never really been relegated to the school, right? So like, our PE classes take hikes through the park, right? When we have field days and fun adventure kind of stuff, we add on extra like scavenger hunt type things and exploring. We partner with a couple of nonprofits that take our kids to go do bird watching and, you know, looking for the frogs that are native to the area. So like,
Did we lose you, Joe?
Sounds like Joe froze a little bit.
like
I think you froze up with
that,
frogs.
that amount, one more place.
Joe,
So,
we need you to go up. Can we try going off video so we can at least hear you? You were breaking up about the great value that the park creates for the kids.
For
if I could help a little bit while I was working on it. Well,
Yeah,
Joe's
go for it.
because I do know a lot of the programs that he's referring to. I mean, Joe's approach to leading Viz Valley Middle School is kind of ideal from a Parky's perspective, which is it really sort of, Joe really integrates the kids and the community into nature and into parkland and into some of the recreational amenities that we have to offer. The Boys and Girls Club at Viz Valley Clubhouse just down the street serves some of his kids. And then we've got Real Options for City Kids with Kurt Yagi's program, amazing program that supports Viz Valley Middle School. And so, Joe uses the park, which is terrific. And I know that Outward Bound has had a long time relationship with Viz Valley Middle School, and a symbol of your deep commitment to equity and being there for kids who, either experience some form of nature deficit or just who need a little structured time in nature. So this is a great partnership with Viz Valley Middle School, and we're really, really excited about it.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, and what does the course mean for us at Outward Bound, California? We serve students across California, and we serve students, group partners in the San Francisco Bay, from one-day to multi-day group programs. And we have never had a course like this where we could take students. We've generally taken our students on one-day courses to parks. We've used the great parks in San Francisco. Thank you, Phil. But this will give us a real grounding and location, and especially relevant right now in COVID, when recently some of our course areas have been impacted for our expedition programs. So we imagine and we envision up to 2,000 kids a year served on this course. I'm going to answer a question from the audience in a few minutes about how many kids we can serve on that course, but we really look at being able to deepen partnerships with nonprofits and schools who work in the D9 through 11 districts to be able to serve those students. And over the next year, we really look at deepening those partnerships with those groups in those regions.
And Nettie, while we're, right now really focused on our community learning hubs while schools are closed and our emergency childcare, because of Outward Bound's incredible partnership, we will be offering programs on this course as well. And so together, trying to kind of provide as deep a network to kids in District 9, 10, and 11 as we can. A special shout out, I see Carissa Ortega is on this call. So Carissa works for me and is part of our Greenagers program, where we provide 9th through 12th graders with nature-based experiences and leadership development opportunities over the course of the year. And I know that we'll be eager to get our Greenagers out there, and we're just super excited about it. Outward Bound is a part of our San Francisco Children in Nature Collaborative. We probably have the most robust collaborative of almost any city in the country right now. We have about 50 or 60 partners, a mix of government agencies and nonprofits and outdoor advocacy groups. And all of us are working together to ensure that every child has a nature-based experience every day. And that's, this again will help contribute to that.
Fantastic. Thanks for all you're doing, Carissa. Thanks for that chat. I think there was a question out there about how many students that we can serve on the course. So currently, right now, we will be having, given COVID and the restrictions that we're under, we can have 10 students at a time, plus 2 more staff members, so a total of 12. So with our COVID practices, we are, strict social distancing practices. As you saw in the video that we showed, participants will be asked to wear masks. We will be doing temperature checks when students come on the course, strict, hand washing, hand sanitation. But yeah, we have about a 30-page program. We call it a program resumption plan that's been approved by our national organization. It's also been approved by Parks and Rec to operate. So while our group sizes are small right now, we're very hopeful that as folks continue to wear their masks and practice social distancing, that restrictions can let up a little bit and we can have larger group sizes out there. But we're excited about that. Any more questions out there? Nope. Oh, here's a question. Looks like, what about community days? Let me see the rest of the question. Sorry, I don't have access to the questions. Maybe someone could share it to me. So we have our community days that will start, I believe it's the weekend of Thanksgiving, the 26th and 27th, and then the following weekend, the 4th and 5th of December, and we'll have 2 community days. Those are free to the public, and we're really focusing on the local community in District 9, 10, and 11, so that we can get, oh, hey, Joe's back. So we can get more of those local students out there. But I think the sign up should be in the chat right there, where folks can sign up for those community days. Great. Joe, nice to have you back.
Back. Now I'm on a phone. It's the life. It's distance learning life here.
Great. So I think I want to open it up for some more questions, but I do have a couple more questions for y'all. So we have a great group of folks on this call today who represent community members, our donors and supporters, and our staff and community partners. I guess kind of a big lofty question to ask both of you. What would be your sort of greatest hope or vision for what this course might achieve? Let's say in the next 6 months, and then year to 2 years from now. What would that look like for you all as a principal at BVMS, and then as general manager of Rec and Parks?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that much like other pieces of the community, that it starts to blur, right? The walls kind of come down between school and community, and for our school and the city, right? I mean, I think it's the great part about this being so close to our school is a lot of times at schools you plan field trips and try to get kids outside, and if you ever led kids on a field trip and you know how long it takes to ride a bus across city or somewhere far, you can spend all day trying to get somewhere. So the fact that this is close is huge for our kids in general, but seeing it weave seamlessly into the school would be great, whether that's through a PE class or through a math or a science class. I mean, ideally for kids to be able to apply their learning, and also like we do, in middle school and schools, you do all sort of team building and homeroom activities and all those things. So I've taken kids on those type of trips before, right? But to be able to have that close, pick a grade level, and sometimes sixth graders go to camp and all the kids go through sixth grade camp. The idea that a grade level could go through some experience and that be formative for them, right? And allows for them to build some deeper relationships across difference for the kids. I mean, I want to see it being a part of what we do, and used intentionally, right? So that, it's something we can do outside that we can't do sitting in the desk in the classroom.
So in the short term, for me, it's not dissimilar from some of the things that Joe mentioned. I want to see as many kids on this course as possible, and particularly from the Bayview and Viz Valley and the Excelsior and the Outer Mission. I think we have some work to do, and I say this to everybody on this call, to sort of correct for what we've put our kids through this last 7 or 8 months. And obviously we've had our health policy experts and our mayor have had nothing but the best interest of our health in mind. But I think there's been an impact on kids that I think needs to be taken more seriously. And we need to get kids off their screens, and we need to get them outside and engaging with each other, and doing the things that this ropes course offers, like taking risks and collaborating and engaging in teamwork. We just have to get our kids outside. So that's my shortest and most important term goal. And a longer term goal, if you ask me how we would measure success in a couple of years from now, 2-3 years from now, Nettie, I would say that some of the sort of early adopters, the early risk takers, the kids that had got on this ropes course over the next 6 months or a year, fell in love with it. And so much so that they decided that maybe they wanted to be an instructor at some point. And I would also say, as a long-term goal, that we know that time outside and time engaged on a ropes course, where again, risk-taking, problem solving, good for mental health, good for physical activity, that Joe sees the results of that confidence building and that sense of pride and accomplishment, that Joe sees those results in his classrooms. I think, and I think all those things are possible.
No, that's great to hear, Phil. And I saw a question in the chat from Woody about will SFUSD students be able to be trained to get on the ropes course? And I think one of my greatest hopes would be that same as what you said, Phil, would be that we inspire the young people who go through this experience to come back and work for us and get trained, or work for Parks and Rec, right? And get trained and come on the ropes course. I started 27 years ago as a ropes course facilitator myself, and then ended up at Outward Bound, and I'm still here. So it's a great path to learn about character and facilitating groups and group experiences. And I think if we can inspire the youth to get outdoors, to get more physically active, to get away from their screens, if we can inspire more youth, and if we could see if we could track someone comes on the course at 18 or 16, and then 5 years later they come back and work for us, I think that would be a huge win for us. So I would agree on that too, Phil. I'm gonna go to the audience now for a few more questions. We can continue to talk. We have about 10-12 minutes left. Chat your questions for us, and we're happy to answer, and we're happy to stay in conversation about the impact this course is going to have on the community. I do want to remind folks that the community days I may have answered incorrectly. They are November 21st, 22nd, 28th, and 29th. So they're November, not December. And then we'll actually be delivering courses shortly after that. So our staff training begins today. We're having a virtual staff training for the Outward Bound California staff this week, and then the week after next. So we have 3 weeks of training for our staff, and then the community days will begin after that. So if you drive by the course or walk through the park in the next few weeks, you won't likely see them until after the election, because that's when they'll be in person. But our staff will be up on the course getting ready for the first community days, which I already spoke about. And then we'll be running a few small group programs through December with some local groups. Any questions out there? I think there was a question. Was there a question from Virgilio?
I'm answering it actually. So I was just about typing it. From Virgilio, the question was whether there were other locations being considered. So we now have two ropes courses in the city limits. The other one is at Fort Miley and is operated by PLI, the Pacific Leadership Institute, in the Northwest quadrant. So to have a ropes course in a natural space in the Northwest quadrant, and now to have one in the Southeast is really balanced and ensures that everybody has an opportunity to access one. And then the Recreation and Park Department, as I mentioned earlier, has a third one up at Camp Mather, which getting back to Nettie, what would success be? That some of Joe's kids from Vis Valley Middle School end up working for me and being ropes course instructors up at Camp Mather in 4 or 5 years. That would be fabulous. So we have 3, I think, in our system now.
And maybe success would be 5 years from now. We have another course in San Francisco.
Glen Canyon.
Right, Glen Canyon. I see Woody has a question about, will you be able to run more than one group of 10 at a time on different sections of the course? So right now we are starting out with just doing the highs. We are not going to do the lows, because the lows involve such physical contact and closeness that over the course of the next few months, we're only going to do the highs, and we'll be doing some low activities, but we won't have the portable activities that we have on the course right now. And then with regards to, we will keep the group size at 10 right now, and we are watching all the restrictions right now to see when we can bump that number up. But it was a pretty big hurdle to jump to actually to be able to operate. So we feel like if we can get 10 out there for the time being and be able to ramp up until things change, when we can add the numbers of people, we will definitely be adding those numbers, Woody. I have a question here about how is the ropes course related to longer courses with Outward Bound? So as I mentioned to you earlier, I got my teeth into outdoor education as a ropes course facilitator, and in many ways I think that the shorter programs provide a small taste and a small sample of what can happen on a longer format course. I know, Joe, for instance, most of the VVMS students have gone on longer expeditions, and so the hope would be that we can get those Viz Valley Middle School students on shorter programs, and then the 7th graders or the 8th graders in the shorter programs, and then we build that relationship with Outward Bound, and we can get them in the longer expedition style programs too. So again, the ropes course becomes this foundational area where we're able to build trust with communities to trust us to be able to go on the longer format courses.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in for a second and see if there's any way to take a chat response from our head counselor, Chris Dale, or to just bring him in to kind of say a word or two. So our counselors are the ones who take our students on some of these more long-term engagements, backpacking, multiple day backpacking, camping, and all that kind of stuff. And he has plenty of stories because I know he's carried that backpack for him and maybe even the kid that he was helping for a couple of hours, you know, whether they didn't want to hold their backpack. So he's got a lot of stories. If it's possible to bring him in, or Chris, if you could just chat and just say what that's been like. Our counselors and our teachers are the ones who do the work, and our counselors are the ones who leave the school and go on these excursions with our kids that they pick.
Yeah, I can go on screen if.
Hi, Chris.
What's up, everybody? So yeah, that's, really Outward Bound has always really gone the extra mile for our school, and forging connections and relationships, and really, and it's been necessary, to keep the program going, just with coming in and reassuring, parents and kids, because these are often the first time students are away from their home, first time camping, definitely first time backpacking, at least, with this kind of during this level. And our students really reflect the diversity of this part of the city, and so they usually have not done these kind of experiences, within their own family and stuff. So it's an amazing thing. It's really, really great. And during distance learning, I've been having a chance to reflect on like meaningful experiences, and even got a couple of random emails from some kids who participated, or just kids that had graduated, later on and stuff. Because they've had this extra time to think about stuff. I guess that's why they reached out and talked to me, but they mentioned Outward Bound, or at least, one or two of them did. So I just think it's such a memorable experience and really formative experience for this age group. Having a ropes course, it's just so exciting. Look, the video looks so cool, and the elements you guys chose, I think they're going to be really exciting for middle schools, because there's a lot of risk taking, and just some team building about, I don't know, just what do the other kids do while they're watching someone else take these things, and everybody has to accomplish the same thing. So I think it could become really like a pinpoint or a common experience for middle school kids in the area. A lot of middle schools are pretty close by, Denman, Willie Brown, and even Aptos is not that far. So it's pretty cool. And, it could become like a common thing, like, oh, I did that, 7th grade, we all did that together. 6th grade, we all did that, So I think it's gonna be really great, and will help the park, the memorable nature of like the park, be some kind of touchstone or just something memorable for everybody to have in common. And we're always looking for ways to, create community and really connect kids, and sometimes have other spaces or other adults engage with them in some ways. And I think this is just a great way to do that. So I'm very excited, and I just want to thank everybody who's been involved. And it was a lot of hard work. And I think in the end, you guys picked a great spot with the view and all these other kind of things. Looks really good. So really appreciate
Chris,
it.
thanks for all that you've done for this partnership over the years. If you could say one noticeable shift that you see in the youth after coming off an Outward Bound program, what would that be? Like the largest thing that jumps out at you, like the shift that you see?
There's just like I would say there's some bonding. The bonding is the thing that happens. So there's kids, sometimes you take kids that didn't get along or their groups of friends didn't get along, and that shifts during that trip. Or sometimes, you see them, they're, complaining about the hard work and they're looking at me, but they're complaining in a different way, and I know that like, after about a year, they're like laughing about the trip, so they're like, still, you made us go, but so I think you really bond with each other, and they love to, if it was hard for them, they love to like try to talk the next group of younger kids to like, get involved. So it really adds to like the culture. So I think it's a really great bonding experience for the kids.
Great. I love that bonding. We also call that belonging, giving people a sense of belonging.
I'll jump in and say, I get to see the kids. Chris is on the trip, right? I get to see the kids when they leave and then when they come back, right? And they always come back happy, They come back sore, right, on the camping trips and the backpacking trips, but they come back happy. Chris is right. He's really strategic about bringing sometimes kids across the language and cultural difference. And they come back having deeper relationships that they didn't really have before. And they also come back just thinking a little bigger, right? And when you get outside your neighborhood and you travel and take a long bus ride and go through something, you just think a little bit outside the box, And I think there's a lot of boxes our kids are placed in, and they got to see something different to get outside of that.
Thanks. I think we're going to take one more question that I see up here from Denalia. Thanks for this question. How will the ropes course, if at all, support the ever-rising need of increasing the intersection of outdoor education, experiential ed, and Zoom traditional classrooms? So it's interesting because we were on a call a couple weeks ago. Outward Bound nationally is putting together something called the Thriving Classrooms, which is bringing the Zoom classroom to kids who can't go on traditional Outward Bound programs right now. We're doing a Zoom calls, and what we're actually seeing potentially with some of these Zoom classrooms is that there might be an opportunity to have get students together before an Outward Bound experience together on a Zoom, and then getting them together after. Because oftentimes the students have a really powerful experience when they go out on the course. They don't know each other before the course. They're pretty anxious and nervous about getting out there. And then they get out there and they have a really powerful experience, and then they come home, and sometimes that experience can sometimes go away. So what I'd like to see, and maybe the value in some of the Zooming that the kids are doing, is that maybe we can have more pre-time with the kids and more post-time with the kids to really integrate and ground the learning of the Outward Bound experience. So I see that there really could be, to your point, Denalia, about the intersection. What COVID has made us realize is that we can do more, get the students together before the course and get them together after the course, and it really could bring a value and sort of bookending the experience for the youth. So that's something that we're already thinking about locally and nationally.
I mean, Zoom as a piece of technology, here's the good thing about it, is that it will be a tool that, a generation of kids and frankly adults and educators kind of understand how to use. It's just, my deepest hope that it doesn't remain the only tool in the toolbox. And, we need to get kids back together. We need to get them. I sense strongly that Chris and Joe agree. So I don't think I'm saying anything impolitic. We got to get kids back into school, and we got to get kids back into rec programs, back on sports teams, and outside in nature. It's just fundamental. And look, we're starting to get there. I am, very proud of. I know there's somebody from DCYF on the call. DCYF and McLaren Park have worked very closely with the school district to try to support our highest needs kids who do need caring adults, while our public school system has been closed, with community hubs where kids can kind of show up and have a caring adult that can help guide them through their own, Zoom learning throughout the day. But part of that needs to be, it's not just being on screen, it's the enrichment that happens too. And so, hopefully, in an ideal world, we all go back to school, and Joe and Chris get to send kids from middle school up uh, Visitacion Ave and, right onto the intersection of Viz and Manziel and participate in the ropes course. But alternatively, if depending upon how long that takes, we should be using this course to continue to offer enrichment to the kids that we do get to interact with, through our community hub program and some of the other activities that we are able to do. But kids need human contact.
Thanks, Phil. Joe, any final words before we wrap up from you?
We're very appreciative of the opportunity, and like I said, location-wise, it's being located where it is important, because there are lots of children and families in the Southeast, but they don't get to benefit from all of the greatest parts of San Francisco. Sometimes we could be really cut off. So the more we bring things to the kids and the families, and the more we get kids to some of these places outside, the better, so that our kids are getting access to all the parts of society, to kind of get them dreaming. So we're very happy, and I love that it's right up the street and kids are going to pass it on their way to school every day.
Well, that was fast, y'all. I think there's still some more questions out there, but I'm going to wrap us up today and just give you thanks, Joe and Phil, for joining me today. And thank you, everyone on the call, donors and supporters and foundation partners and staff. Again, it has taken thousands of hours to get us here today. And each of you have played an integral role in the success of building this course right behind me here. So just a ton of gratitude. And we are in our Rally for Resilience right now. We've raised over $110,000 towards our goal for Rallying for the Ropes course, and it ends this Friday. So I encourage you, if you want to donate and support the course, you can go to obca.org/donate. So I'll have to put that pitch in there. And finally, I just want to say, I've read a quote recently that resonates with me about what this course is going to provide. It's been a dark 2020, I have to say. It's been hard. I'm sure it's been hard to be a principal. I'm sure it's been hard to be the general manager of Parks and Rec, and hard for many of you out there, including running a nonprofit. But I am so hopeful that this is going to be, this ropes course is going to be the beacon for our community and getting more youth outdoors in the next 1 to 10 years, right? Because this is a long-term partnership that we've developed here. So I think Ella Baker once said, give light and people will find the way. And I feel like this is the light that we need right now, so that our youth can experience outdoors and the accessibility of the outdoors. So thanks for joining us today. And I hope to see you all out on the course. We'll keep you all posted on days that you might be able to come out and join us. And you can always stroll through the park and watch those kids up high. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.